all, this is Ms. Miller. I'm ready to start with the Delta Math assignment assigned. Many of you have emailed me and texted me through the group chat about today's lesson. Let's talk about it. Let's look at the first question. It says graph the equation y equals x squared minus 4x minus 5 on an accompanying set of axes. You must plot 5 points including the roots and the vertex. Using the graph, determine the roots of the equation. Okay, so what's another name for roots? We talked about it, zeros. We talked about two other names, but let's just focus on the zeros. Because the first thing, the equation is already set equal to 0. So now we can factor this equation by setting it equal to 0. We're going to do it algebraically, and then we're going to do a quick check. So the quickest way is to factor it. And we know that we can factor it because what two factors of 5 can I subtract and get 4? 5 and 1. So we're just going to go ahead and factor this. We're going to make it equal to 0. Now, many of you know that since this is negative, one has to be negative and one has to be positive. The middle term, the largest number take the sign of the middle term. So when we go back and add it, we'll get negative 4. So this will be negative 1 and 5. So a lot of you know how to find those roots very quickly. Now we could have used quadratic formula. We could have used those methods as well, or probably complete the square, but that was the quickest way. And the way, just in case anyone is asking, how did we get negative 1 and 5? So let's take this equation, x plus 1, and make it equal to 0. We subtract 1 to both sides. Now, most of you know that to do this, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you anyway. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. That's why we get our two zeros equal to negative 1 and 5. Now, we're going to go over here and plot negative 1 and 5, because I know delta math can be a little tricky. The next thing we need to do is find the vertex. Let's do this algebraically. Now, to do this algebraically, we just simply use the same equation again, and we say negative b over 2a. Well, b is already negative, so we're going to say negative negative 4 all over 2 times 1. So this is 4 over 2 equals 2. That's the x-coordinate, or the axis of symmetry. A lot of you are asking, what's the axis of symmetry? The axis of symmetry is just the x-coordinate of the vertex. I know it can get confusing with the terminology, but we've talked about axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry, x equals to 2. So now that we know what x is equal to, we can just simply plug it in to find what y is equal to. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals to 0. All right, 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 5 equals, we can't say equal to 0. I apologize about that, because now we're not finding the zeros. We're actually finding the other coordinate, the y coordinate. So I'll change that to y. All right, 4 minus 8 minus 5. Negative 4 minus 5 equals to negative 9. Now, let's say our vertex would be 2, comma, negative 9. So I'm going to go to 2 and go to negative 9. I already knew that this was going upward and not downward because of our a was positive 1. So 2 all the way to negative 9. I'm at 1. Go over 1. All right, just double check, make sure you're graphing. And you know it's always going to be symmetric. Now, this is the part that I didn't show you in class. The other stuff was not new to you. But the part I want to show you that I didn't show you in class, I've only been doing online, is to find those two other points. Actually, I did show you in class. Mostly it showed you by plugging it into the table in the calculator. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let's just check our points in Desmos, because we just want to make sure we did this correctly. Everybody know how to use Desmos? All right, I had the equation there from the other day. So let's just use Desmos to do this. X squared minus 4x. Now, if you get another variable other than x, go ahead and change it to x when you're using Desmos, because it will not show you the right thing if you don't use x. So our zeros were correct. And let's check this vertex. The vertex is correct. Now, I just showed that everybody know how to do this in Desmos, just about that I've taught. But the most important part is you can do it algebraically. Another way we could have done it was by complete the square. I will show another video doing it another way by completing the square. But now that we have our points in Desmos, let's see. Let's see, can we use any of these points? Let's see if we can plug in 0 for x. We already have our y-intercept. So it's very important to know these are symmetric. Just by going to Desmos, we know our y-intercept is 0, -5. Now, without using Desmos, I'm going to go ahead and plug in 0 because that's one of them. 0 squared minus 0 equals, minus -5 equals -5. I don't want to say it's equal to 0 this time. So now, that should be minus. So now I know I have an ordered pair of 0, -5. That's my y-intercept. I can plug in another number. So let's plug in 4. 4 squared minus 4 times 4 minus 5. Let's add this up. Well, let's calculate this. 4 squared is 16 minus 16. 0 minus 5 equals -5. How do we know it was -5? Because in a parabola, it's always symmetrical. So let's go back to delta math. I was trying to do it in here, but since I already know the y-intercept, it was not a lot of math to do because the reason the y-intercept is actually given in the equation. We'll talk more about that. And then we know that -5 and 4 would be our other point. Our parabola is perfectly graphed. Now it asks us to name the roots. So we come down here, we see how many times does it touch the x-axis, or what are my x-intercepts? That's another name for roots. So we have two numbers. Since we have two numbers, what are they? The number would be -1. Uh-oh, I mean to type that. You didn't even see it. Okay, and 5. Now we're sure of our answer. Just hit submit. This one did take approximately 7 minutes to explain. Yes, I am correct. And I knew I was correct because we checked it not only algebraically, but we also checked it in Desmos. And here's a table. So if you want to just plug in your table, that would be a good idea. Just plug in values for x and find the value for y. Any questions, please feel free to contact me through GroupMe. My email, either Cobb County's email or my teacher, msmiller@gmail.com. Also, I'm posting this to my Facebook page, my teacher, Miss S. Miller. So you can look me up. You don't have to be my friend to follow me. So make sure you follow me. If you don't have a Facebook, your parents can also follow me. Have an awesome day and look forward to talking to you guys at 2 o'clock.